Yo, what's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans, SEC fans everywhere, including probably some Kentucky fans that are going to find their way into this live show. Welcome. Oh my gosh, we're almost at the end of the week. It's almost Friday, wet and rainy. Really crappy weather in Northwest Arkansas, right? Pretty crappy. Dark, wet, little cold, not cold, but like really cool. We're kind of out of the cold for a moment, and we're into this just crappy weather. It's just not cool. Not cool at all. It's not very cash money. You know what I mean? Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Check out Tusk Talk with Ty Patreon. Would greatly appreciate that if you did. Shout out to all the members. Don't forget, new month is upon us. We're doing the giveaways for the autographed cards. We've got Darren McFadden, Felix Jones, autograph. That's going to be a part of the legendary status giveaways. Also starting in February, we're giving away one of these bad boys right here. All you got to be is just a Patreon supporter. That's it. Put that away if it had fit in the dadgum. Get in there, bro. Okay. Yeah, and it's a part of this, by the way. It's part of these On It. It's the On It athlete team-specific trading cards. So this is clearly the Arkansas set. All right. We're going to talk about a couple of things. You can see it on your screen there. Rain. It's snowy and cold. Well, Megan, you're also in Canada. You're in Canada, man. You should talk some baseball. Do you know how often I hear that? And I've tried. Listen, it's just not something. You've got to be fully dedicated into baseball. You got to be fully dedicated into it. You got to build that audience. Anytime I slap a baseball logo or something on the thumbnail, if I have it in the title, bro, nobody cares in my audience. Nobody. I say nobody. Like 12 of you might care. Not that I don't enjoy covering the Hogs, but I'd like to do something that at least half my audience is, something that they might be interested in. And that is not the case on with this channel. It's just not. We will talk some baseball, of course, as the season goes on, for sure. I'm excited about the spring tie, but I'm also insane. I like the bluntness of that. That's pretty good. If you guys got any questions or comments, please feel free to fire away. And again, make sure you share the content. Sharing is caring. We got a number of likes and retweets on Tusk Talk with Ty Twitter. It sure does go a long way when you guys do that, when you like and retweet the content. All right. Arkansas and Kentucky. We're going to start there. We're going to start with Arkansas and Kentucky. I'm not going to make any. I'm not going to wait till like the end of the discussion about Arkansas and Kentucky or whoever, right? Like normally I give you my breakdown, then I'm like, here's what I think is going to happen. I'm going to tell you straight up before we get into any of that stuff. I don't like Arkansas in this matchup whatsoever. Boogie Fland, a healthy Boogie Fland could maybe have helped make this a competitive game. Kentucky's kind of a strange team this year. At times they look pretty unbeatable. They've had some obviously some great wins inside Rupp. They're like everybody, especially the better teams in the SEC. They're really strong at home. But Arkansas is undermanned. The chemistry is still up in the air. God only knows. I mean, anything could happen. I want to be as clear about that. Like, I'm not saying it's a 100% chance Arkansas loses. Like, there is absolutely no chance that they win this game. Of course, there's a possibility. I think ESPN's basketball predictor is something like 18% or 15% shot of Arkansas winning this game. I think that's fair. Kentucky is just too offensively. They've got a lot going on. They are. They've got 5 guys scoring in double digits. This is one of the top offenses in basketball, not just the SEC, but in basketball. This is a very good offense. We talked about it a little bit when Pope took the job. We made fun of how goofy the guy is, but I said, I like this cat. I like what he does, man. His offense, this is going to be interesting to see what they can do year one, especially if they can bring in some pretty good talent. And he's done that. And Pope at Rupp, going to be tough. Cal walking into Rupp Arena is going to be interesting. There's no doubt about that. So I do have some audio clips, or actually some video clips I want to play. Before we do that, I want to say really quick, the hog pen, sadly, I shouldn't say just the hog pen. Arkansas fans lost a good one. You know, Tusk Talk with Ty, we lost one of our own in our community. Shout out to, we've just called him Ox forever, but it's actually 0X. But we lost him a little while back, and that was tough. Hog pen lost this guy right here, Cam. And I never met him personally, but I've seen, he was interviewed by the media last year, I think, before baseball season. I think Pig Trail Nation went out there and interviewed him. And, man, all the comments, all the kind words, all you read is just how outstanding and upstanding Cam was as a Hog fan, a diehard Hog fan. Pretty inviting guy. If you showed up to one of their events, welcoming, offering you food, hanging out, talking Razorbacks. Again, I never met him, but definitely a loss. Definitely a loss, especially for Razorback fans. He would always post, I think it was hashtag Cam beats cancer. But he did pass away earlier this week. And so thoughts and prayers to his family and to those that knew him. We had one person in our Discord, Jenna, who I think knew him a little bit, had been around him for baseball games, and she was talking about how heartbroken they all were and how heartbroken she was. So rest in peace, man. It's never easy, and I feel like, we've lost a couple. And I know Ox, obviously, not everyone knew who Ox was. He was kind of quiet in our Discord for a while, and but then when he was there and had some crazy takes, and it was always a blast to have him around. I'm sure the hog pen community feels the same way about Cam, and so yeah, just thought I would just do that. So again, if you knew him, sounds like you were blessed to know the guy. All right. Arkansas and Kentucky. Let's get into it. This is certainly should be one of the best matchups of the year, right? The biggest game everyone's been talking about since Cal took the job. Oh, boy, Arkansas and Kentucky. This is going to be big. This is the number 3 scoring offense. 20th in the country in rebounds. Top 12 in assists per game, according to ESPN, at over 18 assists per game. They are giving up about 76 points a game, and that is a little high. Like I said, they've got 5 guys that are averaging double digits. Otiga Owe, Lamont Butler, Jackson Robinson. We know all about him. Kobe Bree, Andrew Carr. These are all guys averaging double-digit points. Without a doubt, and Amari Williams, this is a cat averaging just about a double-double, 10 points, 9 boards, 3 assists per game. Yeah, I mean, these guys, they have a way about the way they do things on offense. They are tricky. They're fast. They can cut to the rim quick. They could score inside and out. They are a very flexible offense. They'll play heavy with guards out in the perimeter. They'll crash the boards. They'll leave it up to their big men to help direct things in the paint. Excellent screens. I was watching them. I've watched them several times this year. Really good at setting up those outside screens, opening up their own looks, driving it to the lane. They just kind of do a little bit of everything on offense. Defensively, they are challenged, and I think this is where they struggle, and it's not a strength. Their defense overall, I'm not saying they don't have some individual good, some really good, strong two-way players. Owe certainly comes to mind. Again, this is a guy that's averaging about 16 points, 5 boards, 2 assists, about 2 steals. This is going to be, again, should be a huge game, right? Cal walking into Rupp. And I think everybody knows, or everyone has a feeling, Kentucky is just, those fans are going to be insane. Those Kentucky fans are going to be insane. This is a huge game, and they know it. Rivalry, okay, sure. Cal coming into Rupp Arena, yeah. The fact that this team, Arkansas, who hasn't been worth a damn until Eric Musselman came along in the 2000s, obviously, you go back to Eddie Sutton, Nolan Richardson, Arkansas was a damn good basketball program. Arkansas is not a good program this year, and they weren't a good program that last year. And it doesn't, you talk about like building up rivalries. Well, both teams got to hold up both ends of the bargain, right? They both got to bring something to the table. And right now, the only thing Arkansas is bringing to the table, it's damn sure not the product on the floor. It's the guy that's coaching the product on the floor. So does this help feed into this rivalry? Sure, of course it does. Why wouldn't it? Unfortunately, Arkansas, the on-the-floor product is garbage. It's so bad. Their half-court offense is atrocious. We got a super chat. Hey, Fishman, what's going on, man? Long time no see, Ty. I hope you and your family are doing good, dude. I don't think a lot of people realize Kentucky was like top 10 offense last year. They were very good last year. But I read all over the place that Cal's offense is old news. What say you? I'll say this about Cal. Like, what is happening this year is not what happened the last several years at Kentucky. I don't know if it's like chemistry has to mean something. And when you're slapping together a whole new team, you would think this would be an area of expertise for Cal, right? Because of how often he used to have to do it with freshmen and the turnover that he had at Kentucky because he was just pumping guys. It was an NBA factory at Kentucky, which it still will be. I don't know that it'll be as good as it was with Cal in terms of, the lottery picks, the multiple lottery picks year in and year out for the next 15 years. I don't know. Maybe it will. Pope certainly is proving that his on-the-floor product is working really well, and they're going to make – of course they're going to churn out – I'm not saying Kentucky's not going to churn out stars because of course they are. I don't know if it's going to be at that same insanely high level, but in terms of just the overall product and the style of play, the dribble drive and what Cal likes to do, it's weird that all of a sudden it just doesn't work. Like, remember, the argument that Kentucky fans, or what they were saying when they were warning Arkansas fans, it was – you're not going to advance far in March. You might have a good regular season, but you're not going to advance in the tournament. Have fun going one and done. How often did you read that on Twitter from Kentucky fans? How many times did I have those people in my chat? Be happy with one and done. No one said anything about his offense falling off. It had nothing to do with that. It had everything to do with he couldn't advance in March. He couldn't advance in the NCAA tournament. That was the conversation. Not that everything else was going to be terrible. You could say what you want about his coaching staff, some changes there. Maybe it wasn't the best move. I don't know. But I disagree that it's just fully blown by him. I really think this is about chemistry, not being able to stay healthy, and then depth. They don't have overall team depth, which I thought early on when they were building this team, I can remember thinking and talking to you guys about the depth they have at guard, the opportunities. They've got a couple of combo guards. They've got guys that should be able to knock down the three. We might have ourselves a guy that can light it up outside and really stretch the floor out in Nelly Davis, and that hasn't happened. The guy's shooting terribly outside, and he's missing far more than he's making, and he's I hope he could build off of what he did in his last game, but I'm not really sure. I think, too, that's the other end of it. You got to wonder just what exactly was happening at FAU for a couple of years that made Nelly so successful. Why is that not translating on the floor inside Bud Walton Arena or, on the road, wherever, neutral floor, doesn't matter. Why is his game not translating? So I think that has more to do with it. I wonder if he really just grabbed players out of the portal that were highly rated and said, here we go, and we're going to bring some Kentucky guys, and we're going to bring this guy over from Tennessee. We're going to bring in Boogie Fland and Billy Richmond, these high-profile recruits. We're going to bring them in. and we're just going to we're going to figure it out instead of building towards what works so well at Kentucky. I kind of wonder if that's what's happening here. If that's what happened this year. So does he change his philosophy in the offseason in terms of depth? And does he change his philosophy? I know Kentucky fans are going, of course he's not going to. Again, which is whatever, because why would he change when he was successful during the regular season? Why would he change? Well, then March comes around and the game is blown by him then. Or it could also, and that could be the case, it could also just be that those just weren't rosters built to go far in March or to advance at all. I don't know. Kentucky fans are more than welcome to come tell us. I mean, because they haven't already done that. But I think it's the approach is going to be different in terms of the personnel and what he's doing, and is he going to actually build towards something? Like, here's what I want to do with my system and the way I do things. And did he not do that this year in terms of his personnel? I'm not talking about the actual execution on the floor. Pigpen says, I want booze. You gotta boo. You get a boo. Maybe they'll play harder. Oh, so you're saying that because they'll have motivation? Is that what you're saying? Hey guys, do me a favor. Can you share the content? If you've got any questions, please fire away. Would greatly appreciate it. Would be very surprised if we got smoked. We will play hard but lose late. It could be. That could be the case. You're not wrong. That could absolutely be the case. Maybe they'll be excited about playing inside Rupp Arena. Maybe they are. Maybe they play motivated. I don't think they do. I mean, I'm sure they'll play motivated. I'm sure they'll play with energy. I'm sure they'll play with maybe a little extra oomph. But I'm concerned about the turnovers. I'm concerned about trying to figure out what they're doing at point guard. A lot of concerns with this team. I don't know. I haven't seen anything from them since entering conference play that gives me any confidence that they're going to be able to go into arena or go into Rupp Arena and make a difference. You can't handle the truth has a really good argument. You can buy talent, you can't buy chemistry, and I think that's exactly what's going on. I think that is exactly what happened. There's just no chemistry with this team. It's just like last year. It really is. It's just like last year. It's deja vu. So let's hear what Pope had to say about Cal coming to town. This is a couple minutes, but here's what Pope had to say about Cal.
Question I have is Saturday night, obviously we got a big game, and I just was wondering if you were planning on doing anything, talking to the fans, because I think Coach Cal deserves the proper appreciation and reception when he returns to the historic Rupp Arena. And go Big Blue.
Yeah, hey, Jonathan, thanks for calling, man. Great question. Hey, listen, we have been blessed at the University of Kentucky to have some of the greatest coaches to ever coach the game of basketball. And certainly Cal is one of those. He's a Hall of Fame coach. In his 15-year tenure, what he accomplished at the University of Kentucky was incredible. In some ways, he revolutionized the game of college basketball. And he's left a legacy that probably won't be ever reproduced in the same way that he did it. As a member of BBN and a huge fan of Kentucky basketball, my whole heart is here. And I love Cal. I love Cal for what he did for Kentucky basketball, and on a very personal level, he's been so great to Leanne and I as a mentor and a friend. It's a little bit of a complicated relationship right now because he's coaching the other team. And so that always makes it complicated, but I know BBN, man. I just know our fan base, and I know there'll be there's be so much emotion because we care so much. So there'll be so much emotion in the gym on Saturday. And as time goes on and circumstances change, there's going to be a time when Cal walks back into this arena and he is going to feel all of the love that BBN possibly has to offer, because that's what we do with our family. Now, we'll see Thursday, or Friday or Saturday. Saturday's going to be, it's also a competition, right? So it's just going to be what it is. But I have a ton of love for Cal, and I'm grateful for what he did here at Kentucky, and I'm grateful that I get to be here and enjoy some of the fruits of his incredible labors here. And so I'm super appreciative of him. And I know everybody in BBN feels the same way, even though I also know everybody in BBN wants to win this game on Saturday.
Jonathan, thank you for the.
And then here's Cal talking about going back to Rupp.
We're going to have 3 players that played there. My guess is they're going to get booed. My guess is I'm going to get booed. And you all saying, oh, yeah. But that's all part of it. I mean, shoot, you get booed. I've done this so long. How could I tell you, I got bazooka holes in my body. So when you shoot arrows, it doesn't even hit skin. It just goes through one of those bazooka holes. But it'll be interesting. It's, can't say I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to coaching, but to walk in and, the vibe, I don't know how I'm going to take it, to be honest with you. I mean, that was a special time in my life, in Ellen's life. And 15 years we gave. 15
years. 15 years. That's right. Long time. Only win I want the rest of the year. That's Saturday. Let's go. We will lose by 10+ though, says Will. What's going on, Will? Hope you're doing well. Michael Kerper. Thanks for being in here. What's up, Angel? How you doing, man? Make sure again you guys like, share, subscribe, share on Facebook, share on Twitter. So yeah, It's so unfortunate that Arkansas is in the situation that they're in basketball. I mean, it just is. Because this could be – now, I'll say this. What if they walked into Rupp Arena, found a way to win? What happens then? What happens then? Like, what's the conversation? And Kentucky fans – oh my God, the hatred would be tenfold. The hatred of Arkansas would be tenfold. The hatred of Cal would be tenfold. Certainly would add to the rivalry, and it would change the conversation. This game could single-handedly change the conversation about what Arkansas's expectations should be moving forward. If you could walk into Rupp this year and find a way to get the dub, I'm with ESPN that this is about an 16% chance that Arkansas is going to come in there and walk away with a W. I just don't know. Angel says Kentucky likes the rivalry. I think they do, and I think they acknowledge that it is a rivalry for sure. Some of them are in denial, but I don't know how else. Like, Arkansas has lived in their heads rent-free, and yeah, it's Cal, but they're targeting fans. They're targeting the team. That is a pretty good indicator. It's not the indicator, as I've pointed out before, that this is some kind of rivalry. No. Or you know what I mean. That's what builds a rivalry. This is a rivalry. Maybe these late games tire out the players. Yeah, it is an 8 p.m. tip-off, which is such crap. I mean, my God, you're giving them 8 p.m. tip-offs during the week, and then you're going to give them an 8 p.m. tip-off on Saturday night. This could have at least been a 6 p.m. tip-off game. It's just so absurd. Hey, take the poll. Are you excited for Arkansas football spring camp? 59% of you actually say yes. 41% of you say no. Say no. I do the same. What do you mean, Angel? What do you mean you do the same? Our last 2 games have been real ugly. If this game is ugly, we got a chance. And that's also fair. If you could get Kentucky to play down in the dirt with you, to get this game all kinds of ugly, Yeah, you get them to turn the ball over. You find ways to get to the free throw line. You get them in a little bit of foul trouble. A couple of key guys get them in a little bit of foul trouble. Play rough and tough basketball. Make them just, shock the crowd. Don't go in there and only score 4 points in the opening 4 minutes. Find ways. Find your points however you can do it. And my God, if Nelly Davis were to find his stroke, at least just for this game, you would obviously greatly benefit, and you wouldn't mind his 16 attempts so long as he's making them. Wouldn't beating Michigan in New York and Kentucky and Rupp, then losing to a horrible team, not be us though? That is, that's right. The most Arkansas thing ever. Is that what you're getting at there, Pigpen? The most Arkansas thing ever. Oh man. So yeah, I like Kentucky. I don't know what spread I would give them. I would say probably 12, 14, something like that. Again, make it ugly. Don't let them get things going. Don't let OA get hot. Don't let Butler get hot. That's a guy, 5 assists, 13 points. He's done really well this year, almost 2 steals a game. By the way, they shoot 37% outside. So once again, like your perimeter defense is, it's going to be challenged. This is, when you look at Kentucky, again, 87, almost, this is the second highest scoring offense in the SEC, just behind Bama, just ahead of Florida. 3-point attempts, they're averaging about 27 a game. That's a pretty high volume, and making 37% of those. They're not terrible at the free throw line. They're 73%, which is the top, 6, I think, in the SEC, something like that. They're getting about 11 offensive boards. Arkansas is just behind them at 10. So this is not, they're getting 41 boards a game. That's what matters. And if you notice something, the top 3 scoring teams in this league are also all high rebounding teams. They're all teams averaging 38 or more rebounds per game. Or excuse me, 38 to 39 rebounds per game. Auburn's at 38 rebounds. Florida's at 44 per game, which is the second highest. And then Kentucky is at 40.7, Alabama at 44.4. 18 assists per game, which is the best in this conference. That is the best in this conference. So make it ugly, and then it becomes, if you can make it ugly, if you can get into the double pretty quick, if you can get to the free throw line and then knock down 75, 78% of your free throws, and you're taking, I don't see this happening, but getting like 24, 26 attempts at the line, and you're making close to 75 or 80% of those, you might have an interesting situation on your hands. But yeah, I'm not so sure about that. Net ranking, this would clearly be oh my God, what a boost this would be for Arkansas if they could find a way. This is the 11th overall net ranking for Kentucky, who has played 12 total quad 1 games. That's the second most. I'm pretty sure that's the second most in the country, trailing just Auburn, who's 12-1 in those quad 1s. Kentucky's 7-5. So 11th NIL, got NIL on the brain. The net ranking. Arkansas is all the way down at 56th. 1-7 versus quad 1. 1-7. And then they're 1-1 in quad 2 as well. That's, Kentucky, again, their assist to turnover ratio. This is the number 5 team in the country in that category. Field goal percentage, Kentucky's 28th in the country, roughly about 48%. Fast break points, this is another thing they do really well. They're 13th in the country, averaging close to 16 fast break points per game. Remember, there was a while where Arkansas was in that conversation. It's completely faded out. And I'm talking about even before Boogie Flant. And then rebounds per game, we've already gone over that, but they're 16th in the country in rebounds per game at nearly 41 boards. Again, take the poll. Are you excited for Arkansas football in spring camp? Does Arkansas or Kentucky playing 2 days ago help Arkansas or not? I don't know. I don't know what to make of that debate. That's always one, right? Like you had the whole week off, or does it benefit the team that actually had to play, that actually had to prepare, or does it favor the team that got the week off and they got to watch their opponent play? I would probably argue, considering Arkansas's injuries and all the issues that they've been facing, I would probably argue that it's a benefit for Arkansas. It puts them in the advantage, but it's not like, I don't know, like with basketball, Kentucky's going to have time to rest and prepare for Arkansas. They don't have to travel. That matters, right? They don't have to travel. They're going to get to do everything in-house. Hey, Ty, could Kentucky be our Tennessee in basketball? I think they are. I don't know what you mean by, like, are you in comparison to what? What is Tennessee in? Like, is this a baseball conversation or comparison where Tennessee's kind of our rival in baseball? I think they are, by the way. Is that what you're asking me? Because I'm not really sure what you're asking me. You think Kentucky could be? Oh, you asked the same question. Okay. Tennessee is, I think that's what he's asking, as in our baseball rival. Everyone will tell you it's either Texas or LSU for all sports, right? For football, it's LSU in Texas. For baseball, it's LSU in Texas. Or Missouri for whatever reason. Don't got to wake up early either, says John. Oh, okay. That was random, but welcome, John. Thanks for being here, man. Ty, forgive my ignorance. Baseball's Tenor and Ole Miss. I don't know. I think with baseball, you could make the argument that like Mississippi State, Ole Miss, LSU, Texas, because you do have recent history with Texas along with the past history with Texas. Like you've met up with them in those tournaments you've played down in Texas over the years. I don't know. I do think Tennessee is a rivalry in baseball, though. It's just, should be an every year thing, but it's not. Oh, Kentucky don't got to wake up early. Well, yeah. Game's not till 8 p.m. They're going to have all day. Oh, Matt, you didn't have to do that, Matt. Arkansas has a rivalry with winning. Matt's got jokes. Oh, they sure do lately. You're not lying, man. Oh, Matt. Matt. Arkansas's got this cat coming on to campus. This is actually pretty big. Class of 26, Carthage, Texas linebacker. I think that's is it DeKeeves? DeKeeves Beck? I think that's how you pronounce that first name. What's interesting about this dude was supposed to go to Oklahoma this weekend. He's supposed to go to Oklahoma this weekend, and no, he's coming to Arkansas. I'm sure maybe he'll reschedule to Oklahoma. I don't know. He's got plenty of time. But this is a big time player. 247 has him as a top 10 linebacker. Let's put that back up. Put that back on the screen, Vanessa. Thank you. I didn't tell you. I hired a producer. Her name's Vanessa. DeKeeves Beck. Or DeKeeves Beck. 247 Sports says he's the number 21 player in the state of Texas. He's a national 150 linebacker. Their composite, he's a national 200 and the number 17 linebacker. Number 27 player in the state of Texas. Yeah, that's big time. I mean, you're talking again borderline 5-star right there. Would be a really great get. So he's going to be on campus this weekend. Was supposed to go to Oklahoma, and instead he's coming to Arkansas. He'll be in Fayetteville. All right, take the poll. We're moving on into football. Let's do it. I'm tired of talking about the negativity about basketball. Tired of it. Go beat Kentucky. Make it worth talking about Arkansas. Make it worth people giving a damn. Winning at Rupp would be incredible. But don't see it happening, so we're moving on. John says, I'll take any kid out of Carthage. Yeah. Football, 364 days a year. That's right, baby. Why? Actually, let's set this up right. Making the case for spring camp and why fans should be excited. Making the case for why you should be excited for spring camp. Now, I'm not saying that you should be jumping up and down with joy. Arkansas they won 7 games last year, 6-6. You ought to be over the moon about this program right now. I'm not saying that. What I am saying is you could certainly make the case, the argument that, man, there might actually be something worth being pretty excited about. So we're going to go over that. And we're going to kind of look at every position. And I'm going to kind of give you a little brief, just kind of what's what, right? Let's start off with the fact that 22 players, 22 high school recruits, you're gonna have a lot of, I think you're at like 49%. It's a lot of players. It's like 49, 48% of your roster, right? They're all gonna be here. All 22 transfers are gonna be here for spring camp. Both the JUCO guys are gonna be here. That is very exciting news, and that's normally the case anyways. They're expecting, I think, 15. I want to say 15 of the high school prospects. I could be wrong. I think it's either 14 or 15 high school players that will be here, and that includes Madden Iamaliava and Grayson Wilson at quarterback. Now, from a media perspective, even a fan perspective, that's going to be fascinating. When you're talking about the quarterback battle that's going to be going on behind Talon Green, there wasn't one last year. Malachi was clearly QB2. KJ Jackson was coming in. You know, he's brand new. He'll be a redshirt freshman, second year in this offense. Probably going to be, I would say right now, it's comfortable to say he's going to be the backup because he knows the offense, in which that matters a ton with someone like Bobby Petrino. Don't forget, this dude's like 6'4", 225, 220 pounds, left-handed quarterback. You know, I mean, out of high school, highly rated, a lot of committable offers, if I remember correctly. And then you've got Madden Iamaliava, who we all know this dude kind of comes out of nowhere, comes to Arkansas. He signs late. I say late. He's late in the process of the cycle. Meanwhile, Grayson Wilson, poor guy, had no clue it was coming. This is going to be exciting. It's not you know how this works. Whoever loses this battle, and we're not going to know for sure coming out of spring camp who QB2 is, I don't think. I could be wrong. I mean, it seemed pretty set in stone what they were doing at quarterback last year, and maybe they just move forward with KJ Jackson, but I don't think so. I kind of wonder if Madden doesn't come in and immediately competes. Now, he didn't play his senior year of high school. What he did all offseason is that he worked on his throwing mechanics and footwork. He used the whole time to just get better at certain aspects of his game. His throwing motion, all of it. We've shown footage of him here. We've talked about him. You guys know this is a pretty big get for Arkansas. He's not like his big brother. He's not 6'4", 6'5". He's not super tall. You don't really see much of his dual threat, like what he can do on film, but there's some of it out there. But I have heard this dude can move out of the pocket really well. So then you got him and Grayson Wilson, who is a little bit taller and has a little bit more weight, about 6'3", 205, who can also move a little bit, throws a good clean ball. This is going to be, I'm telling you, this is going to be really exciting, along with all the other battles that are going to happen. There's going to be more battles this year in spring, and I'm talking position battles, than I think we've ever seen. And it starts with, in my opinion, just talking about going down the list, not saying that one's more important than the other, but at the head of the offense, it's the quarterback, and then it's going to be what's going on behind those guys. Now, QB2 battles are not as exciting as the battle for QB1, but I find them very interesting because the loser, if we know who that is coming out of spring camp, what does he do? Because in this day and age, it's like, well, I'm going to portal out of here. I don't think that happens. I think Grayson and Mad Niamaliava would they're going to stick it out. These are true freshmen. What about KJ Jackson, right? And I'm telling you, do not sleep on KJ Jackson. His issue last year, he was just deer in headlights with the whole experience, I think. He was deer in headlights. He's a true freshman quarterback. You know, when he signed, he was 17. I certainly saw Petrino pause practice to give him a chewing because he wasn't doing something right pre-snap and he was taking too long to snap the ball. Start date for spring camp, by the way, likely going to be one of those first 2 weeks of March. So it's coming, man. It'll be here before you know it. We're already into February. The next time you see me, next time you see me, it'll be February 1st. So we're already into February. So just like that, we are just a few weeks away, maybe a little more than a few weeks away from spring camp. And I'm going to be talking a lot about this. I know the apathy is set in across the board. I don't do clickbait. I don't have a panel here with me. I'm not doing any of that shit. I'm just here. This is what I love to do. This is what gets me excited, man, talking about this stuff, the depth chart breakdowns. And I'm telling you, this quarterback QB2 battle may not be summed up the way that it was last year. Then you go to the running backs, right? What is going on here? Mike Washington, the transfer, AJ Green back in the fold. Who was it? Was it Travis who I had on? We're doing this thing now every Monday where we'll have Travis and Tim on. I think it was either Travis or Tim that said AJ Green will be the best back in our backfield. We know what AJ Green's capable of, but you know he's coming off a pretty severe injury where he had to set out the whole year at Oklahoma State. Mike Washington, I'm not going to lie, there's not much there that blows me away. Watched plenty of highlights and looked at his PFF stuff, and I think about the only thing that was kind of impressive about his what he did last year. If I can pull it up. Where are you at, Mike Washington? Mike Washington, 71 overall run grade. He's run for a career 1,800 yards off 420 carries. That's a career average of 4.4 yards per carry. That's playing 3 years at Buffalo and 1 year at New Mexico State. 18 career touchdowns. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. 45 career catches, 244 yards, 2 touchdowns. So you got a guy coming in with 20 career touchdowns. He's got some long runs under his belt. He had a 92-yard run back in 2022 with Buffalo. His best year in terms of yards per carry was his freshman year, 2021, where he averaged 5.7 yards per carry with a touchdown. But that's off of 23 carries. But last year at New Mexico State, 725 yards, 8 touchdowns on the ground, 4.6 yards per carry. 48 career 10-plus yard rushes, and then last year he had 20 10-plus yard rushes. I don't know how to feel about Mike Washington yet. Let's see him in a Razorback jersey. Let's see what he looks like. Guys like that will benefit greatly, obviously, through spring camp, and will benefit with opportunities in live action. So when you're talking about these scrimmages, that's where a guy like that's he's gonna make his best case right then and there. And that's usually the case for running backs. You're gonna get to see them in live action. You're gonna get to know them a little bit more when we go full speed in a scrimmage situation. You got Rodney Hill back. I think Rodney Hill is a great change. Honestly, if it were up to me, I would like Braylon Russell, assuming maybe he is going to stick it out. I don't know. But if he's your guy, Braylon Russell RB1, and then Rodney Hill as your change of pace back. He's a little bit more lightning. I mean, you're talking about Braylon Russell, who's 6'1", 250 pounds, 253 to be exact, and Rodney Hill's 5'10", about 186 pounds, soaking wet, maybe 190 pounds. And then they got Cameron Settles, who they picked up out of Little Rock, 5'11", 195 pounds, who do think he's going to be here during fall camp or spring camp. Wide receiver, this is that battle. This is what everyone's talking about, right? So if I'm going to, again, we're trying to make the case for why you should be excited. Running back room, I would say right now I would grade that out at about a C+. Quarterback, I don't know really. That's tough because you got two true freshmen and a very unproven redshirt freshman quarterback, and then Taylor Green, who's going to carry that whole load, right? So you're probably talking about a overall, if you factor in the true freshman, maybe about a B+ quarterback room, somewhere in there. I think that's something to be excited about because going into last spring camp, we didn't know what the hell we had. I don't know that anybody would have guessed that Taylor Green would have 3,700 total yards of offense. We also would like for him to actually hold on to the damn ball. The receiver room is where I think grading is all over the place. But there's one guy that gives you a ton of confidence about what's going on in that room, and that's Courtney Crutchfield. I mean, this guy was a 247. He was a member of the 247 2024 Freaks list. Unanimous 4-star out of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, committed to Missouri. He got there and realized it was a shithole. I'm not taking that back either. He's back in Arkansas. He's back in Fayetteville. Here's what Hudson Standish from 247, when Courtney Crutchfield was coming out of high school, this is what he said about him. One of the top prospects from the state of Arkansas in the modern recruiting era. An explosive 3-level playmaker with a propensity for jaw-dropping highlight reel moments, a true quote-unquote, even when he's covered, he's open receiver who can use his 6'2" frame and top-tier leaping skills to bully defensive backs at the catch point or glide past defenders with his smooth, long, striding gait. Locates the ball in the air at a high level and has a knack for making acrobatic body adjustments at the last moment to secure difficult catches. Plucks the ball out of the air with good arm extension. Will need to become a more efficient and nuanced route runner to beat similar athletic defenders in the SEC. Well-rounded skill set should allow him to move around the offense, to hunt matchups in and out of the slot. Combination of extremely productive two-way snaps and an elite multi-sport athlete or athletic profile offers significant long-term NFL upside. Yeah, he was in the high jump in high school, in track. This is an outstanding get out of the portal. Let's hope that his game translates. Let's hope that he comes in, and if he comes in, and we're gonna get to see it in spring camp. If he just completely takes this thing over, you're gonna feel a hell of a lot better about Andrew Armstrong not being on this roster. Omega Blake, a guy with a lot of experience, he's a fifth-year senior. C.J. Brown, who's got a year under his belt in this offense. Monty Harrison. I don't know what to expect from Monty, but definitely the senior, despite being a sophomore. He's the veteran at life player in the receiving corps. And then Raylan Sharp, a guy that's familiar with what's going on. Cam Shanks, Jordan Anthony, who's a second-year guy transfer out of A&M from a year ago. So the receiver room, and the question is it upgraded? I don't know. But based on what we learned about that receiving group a year ago, outside of Andrew Armstrong, I don't know that there was anyone that stood out at all. Now, of course, yes, you can make the case that Andrew Armstrong was targeted heavily because that's all Taylor Green. That's the only guy he wanted to throw to. But you could flip that also and just say, well, yeah, but I mean, he was getting open, and Green had confidence that this cat was going to actually catch the damn ball. So, and by the way, Green completed some pretty tough throws to Armstrong. They were on the same page without a doubt, and hopefully Andrew Armstrong is going to benefit financially in the NFL. Maybe he'll make a roster. I don't know where he's going to go in the draft, but, we'll be rooting for him. Is this receiving group better than a year ago? Based on what we knew then, I would say it might be about the same. Maybe last year has an edge because of how well Broden looked during spring camp. Tight end room, I'm telling you, this is an interesting case. Once again, I think they've actually built up some pretty good depth here. Unfortunately, last year they did the same, and they couldn't do a damn thing with it. How much of that is the offense? How much of that is injuries? How much of that is these guys getting their asses kicked off the team? It's all valid. But Jaden Platt, by the way, saw him at Walmart a couple of weeks ago. I was there. I don't even remember what I was doing there. I was getting – what the hell was I doing at Walmart? I don't remember. But anyways, I don't ever go to Walmart in Fayetteville anymore. But that one time that I did, Jaden Platt walked right by me. That dude is – they got him at 6'5", I believe it. 6'5", 260. That's a big guy. Rohan Jones is going to be the guy that a lot of people are talking about. I like him a lot. I don't know that we can confidently say they're better here. I don't know that we can confidently say that yet because based on what we knew at the time, Ty Washington, who was a little banged up, I think if I remember right during spring camp, but Gums stepped up with those two out with Washington and Luke Has out. Varkey's Gums stepped up and was spectacular. So I don't know that we could say, oh, for sure the tight end room is improved. I don't know that we can say that it's improved. I don't know yet. But I'm pretty big on Rohan Jones and Platt. I like what's going on there. Offensive line, I'm just going to say it. I think they're better. And this is why another reason for me to be excited. I think they're better here. I think this group is going to be better. Corey Robinson at left tackle. We talked about this dude's numbers. It's insane. 6'5", 305. Grades out on pass block at 91.2. Gave up 6 career sacks, 30 hurries. Last year on 539 snaps, he gave up just 3 hurries, no sacks. I think Corey Robinson is a big get out of the portal. Caden Kittler, I think the jury's kind of out on, but I could see him ended up, being the starting center. I could see them moving, maybe moving some guys around here a little bit. They're going to have room to. I really think they've upgraded because, Branham is a guy they're high on. He's going to be back. He's technically a redshirt freshman, despite getting to play in the bowl game. He didn't break the the 4-game rule, 5. I don't know. They change that every 2 years. Shaq McRoy will be interesting. I think they'll probably start him out at right tackle. 6'8", 365. That's the Oregon transfer. A lot of excitement here on the offensive line. I really think they have upgraded. I really think there's an opportunity here. I don't know that when the season comes around they're going to be better, but I do think they've improved. I don't know for sure they're going to be better, but I would hint towards, or lean towards rather, they're probably going to be better along the offensive line. There's going to be some questions about what's going on in the interior spots, right? Center, in the left guard, There's going to be some questions. I wouldn't be shocked to see Fernando Carmona get moved inside somewhere. Someone was telling me that Carmona could end up at center. I don't know. That was not on my bingo card, but I could see him playing left guard. Branham most likely at that right guard spot. And then again, Shaq McRoy is could be really special. You got Marcus Dummerville behind him. They're really big on this dude. Again, you still got Caden Kittler, Brooks Edmondson, Zuri Madison. I mean, you've got some guys here who have a lot of promise. I don't know how high their ceilings are per se, but a lot of promise. This actually feels like, and we'll readjust like we do every year once we're coming out of spring camp, but it really feels like they're going to be too deep at least more than one spot. They're going to be too deep maybe at a couple of spots. Who knows, maybe 3 spots. Oh, my God, I know it's mind-blowing. I'm big on the offensive line. I'll just say it. Because of Corey Robinson, because of McRoy, because of what you could do. Fernando Carmona could play probably just about anywhere on the offensive line. Kavion Broussard is another name we're not bringing up enough. Zuri Madison, who was recruited and apparently had several committable offers out of high school. He took the red shirt last year, and I think they're pretty high on him. He's going to be an interior guy. Bubba Craig is a name that keeps coming up. I think that could end up being a quality guy. We'll see what happens with Bubba. Great name, by the way. Very fitting. So yeah, I think there's enough here just on the offensive side of the ball to be intrigued with and maybe even be excited if that's going to be again, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make trying to make the case for why fans could be excited for what's happening. And I say this too because the conversations are starting to pick up in several group chats that I'm in. I've had a couple of you start DMing me like, when are you going to talk about spring ball? When are you going to talk about spring ball? So it's the dialogue's not really there in Discord yet, but the closer we get to spring camp, it'll ramp up. So why not get a head start on it? I like what's going on the offensive line. I will say I think this offensive line is better than and listen, last year's was better than the year before. 100%, despite the fact that Green still struggled with, he was pressured a lot, especially the first 6 games of the year. And then that number actually started to drop. His pressures started to drop. And if you look, his per drop back percentage of being pressured was it was something like 10% lower versus where they were at 4 games before that. So the protection got better. And then so did his numbers. His completion numbers started to go up. So to say that they could end up being better than what they were a year ago, and the fact that you've got Green back at quarterback with Bobby Petrino, that's a big deal. Let's switch over to the defense. Listen, I think the guy on defense who is starting to really climb in terms of potential and coming up the list as one of maybe the guys we're going to be talking about, assuming you can keep him here, Ian Jaffrard. 6'5", 388-pound Ian. Number 95. He'll technically be a redshirt freshman. I think I don't remember how many snaps he took a year ago, but he did get to play. But having Cam Ball in Jaffrard up front at that tackle spot, along with David Oak, Danny Seeley is back. I don't know. Danny Seeley really didn't live up to much. And then Kevin Otis, the four-star defensive lineman, 6'2", 300 pounds. He'll be a true freshman. I do believe he'll be here during spring camp. Quincy Rhodes, Collins at defensive end. I think you'll likely see what's going on? My computer just freaked out. I think you'll likely see either Boone, the Florida transfer, or Ken Talley at that other end spot, or they might try to split Charleston Collins and Rhodes and put them at either a defensive end spot. Collins and Rhodes by themselves, that's some pretty good depth. I don't know that I would say I'm super excited about the defensive line. I don't know that they have that dog up front that you're just over the moon about. Quincy Rhodes is a guy that's growing on a lot of people. And, of course, Jaffrard. I like Jaffrard. I mean, he's starting to climb up my list of guys that I like on defense. And you saw that a little bit last year in both camps. or fall camp, I should say. And then you kind of saw it through the season. Now, unfortunately, we didn't have access to practice. I don't know if that's going to change this year during the season. Hopefully it does. Okay. What group am I really excited about on defense? It's the linebacker core. Somehow, despite the losses that they've had over the last couple of years at linebacker, Xavier Sorey, I think, is going to be fantastic. He's going to be a fifth-year senior. I like that they brought in Tavion Wallace, who I think is going to beat out whoever's in front of him outside of Sorey. Tavion Wallace is going to come in and compete for some time. He's not unless he gets, knock on wood, unless he gets hurt, this dude's not going to get a red shirt. He's going to get enough playing time. I think he's going to get an opportunity to play. It might be tough because he's got to go through Wyatt Simmons, Steven Dix, Bradley Saul, Justin Logan, like guys that have some experience. But raw talent-wise, Tavion Wallace might be the second most talented player, or third most talented player on defense, or fourth or fifth most talented player on this defense. I'm willing to say that. With everyone on defense, I think he's going to be a top 5 in terms of talent. He's among that group. Now, knowledge of the defense and then, getting used to the system and all that, maybe he does hit a red shirt because it takes a little bit of time to understand what he's doing, what his assignment is, right? Communication was a big problem at times last year, and that also that's something linebackers and safeties, they've got to be on the same page, and that's something that at times has held this defense back over the last couple of years where you don't have your key communicators healthy and on the field. So, and that plays into the game as well. Like, you got to know what you're doing. You got to know what the guys around you are doing, what the guys up front are doing. Oftentimes you'll see linebackers jump up and nudge a guy on the butt, letting him know where he should line up. It's all that. And both those linebackers, by the way, and now they'll have one guy appointed, probably the kind of the captain role to take on that load of, understanding what's going on around them. So that's going to be difficult for any true freshman to come in and do that. And we haven't really often seen true freshmen come in and do that outside of Crook did it. There's been a couple. There's been a couple of true freshmen that have come through, but it's usually those older guys, right, that get that opportunity because they have an understanding and the speed of the game, doesn't affect them as much. A freshman, that's going to be a different story, and that's for any position, not even just linebacker. But Tavion Wallace is one of the top 5. Talent-wise, one of the most talented guys on that defense. He is going to make a case to burn his red shirt this year. I'm going to say that. Now, maybe something will change through spring camp, but going into spring camp, this is where I'm excited for the defense. I'm excited about what's going on at linebacker. You've got guys with a little bit of experience, Bradley Shaw, Steven Dix, of course, Xavier Sorey, a potential all-conference linebacker there. Potential. And then you throw in that mix with Tavion Wallace. I'm excited. Where I'm not excited, the secondary. I mean, I'll just tell you right now, I think I don't know that they made the necessary changes in the secondary that has me really stoked at all. Larry Worth coming back, most likely going to take up that boundary safety spot. Kaney Walker, getting him out of Oklahoma at corner. I don't know. I mean, he didn't exactly have a profound impact on that defense last year. Selman Bridges, he burned his red shirt last year. And I think, we'll see. Lengthy corner, by the way, another one of those 6'2" corners, really lengthy. All their corners their entire secondary is big. They don't have a single starter in the secondary that's anywhere near 5'10". When you even go in too deep, outside of Jaden Allen, who's 5'11", 5'10", 5'11", Akari Johnson, who I think is also a guy on the move. Watch for Akari Johnson. Somewhere they're going to find a place for Akari Johnson. Hell, Scandrett is 6'3". The transfer. He's got that awesome first name, Quintavious Scandrett. He's 6'3", 205. Miguel Mitchell, 6'1". Christian Ford's 6 foot 6'1". They are lengthy in the secondary, but I still think they have I still think they have questions, and it's skill wise. I don't know if they have a lot. If this were EA College Football 2.5, I don't know that I'd have a single player in the secondary above maybe an 80 overall. I don't know that. So if it's EA 26, EA College Football 26, I don't know that they have a single player that's above maybe 80. Sorry, I'd probably put it about 86, 88. Dix, I'd probably put it about 84, 86. I'd say probably about 84. Tavion Wallace, the true freshman, 78. And that's hard to do for true freshmen. Right? Cam Ball at the defensive line, at that interior spot, probably put him about 86. Jaffrard, probably about 84. I think there are some pieces here with this defense that could help bend and make the changes necessary. The question's going to be quality depth, right? And I just don't think the secondary's got it. I hope I'm wrong. We got to get through spring camp, but there are cases to be made about why fans might be excited. So, again, the quarterback battle, what's going on the offensive line, I'm excited there. I'm curious about the tight end spot. And even curiosity kind of bleeds into the excitement a little bit, right? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Anyways. Let's put an end to this poll. Are you excited for Arkansas spring football? 65% of you say yes. So we changed some minds here. I'll give you a little bit more time. I didn't really – hold on. Shaw, Dixon, Story is going to be monster linebacker crew. I agree, John. I agree. The linebacker room is – guys, I think it's better. And the fact that you're getting Sorey back, by the way, former 5-star, I think we're starting to see him live up to that rating. I think you're starting to see it. Got it. Now, the question's going to be, can they sustain some more injuries? Probably not. You're not, but nobody, even in the SEC, is at the point where, by the way, appreciate the shares. I'm getting the alerts on my phone right now. Thank you for sharing the content, everybody. Nobody is as deep as they once were. The SEC doesn't hoard talent the way they once did, and that's why you're seeing this drop-off in bowl games and head-to-head matchups against Power 5, Power 3, non-con games. That's why you're starting to see the drop-off. Like the SEC, that gap is closing, and it's closing rapidly. And it's because nobody can hoard the talent as far as depth. Does Arkansas have the kind of depth at linebacker that could be compared to some of the better teams in the SEC? I certainly think they have the starters to do it. And if Tavion Wallace comes anywhere near that initial rating where he's like one of the top linebackers in the country, if he comes anywhere near that, he's going to burn that red shirt, and he's going to steal some reps from somebody. The dude is going to be good. He's got to stay healthy, and there's always that deer in headlights thing that happens to freshmen when they get on campus, and it's like, oh, shit. All right, hold on. What am I doing? And it takes them a little while, and then they have to get redshirted. That could happen. But they're going to need some of these guys at linebacker to step up in terms of depth. They're going to certainly need some of these guys. But defensive line, I like some of the pieces there. Like I said, Collins and Rhodes, I would love to find a way to get them both on the field at the same time. I really don't know what to make. Like, if you're going to ask me, like, tie straight up grading the secondary, I'd say like a D. I'm just not big on the secondary. Like at all. I don't think there's anything here that's just mind-blowing. I do like Larry Worth coming back. Maybe there's some potential there with Scandrett. Kaney Walker, again, I think he had some pretty good offers out of his when he transferred out of Oklahoma. Again, there's just no one here that's a splash. There's just no splash get here. There's no one that stands out a lot. Scandrett, his PFF grades are pretty good. I've watched some film on him. He's not afraid of contact. He's not afraid of getting his head in there. He's got a long body. He's like 6'3", 6'4". He's tall, lengthy, and he's not like 180 pounds. This dude's pushing like 205. Still not big. I mean, for someone with a 6'3" frame. But Larry Worth is huge, 6'4", 224 pounds. He's an athlete and a half. You guys talk about Adu Thero being a hell of an athlete. Larry Worth is a hell of an athlete too. 6'4", 224, and he moves. They like him enough that they'll probably put him at one of those safety spots. Again, at 6'4", probably 230 pounds. Larry Worth is good to get back. He's the guy in the secondary I'm going to look at to make the biggest jump this year, right? Miguel Mitchell, maybe, only because he's another upperclassman. And that is the other part of this, too, the point that I wanted to make. And I got one more point involving Bobby Petrino, so bear with me just a second. They do have a lot of this is not freshmen that they went and grabbed out of the portal in the secondary. That's what the thing I do that gives me a little bit of hope. They didn't go and get some guy that redshirted or didn't play a lot of snaps last year. If you look across the board, they've got several guys here that got quite a few snaps under their belt. They got a lot of guys. What matters, They're not redshirt freshmen. They're not freshmen. They're not sophomores with very low snap counts. They are all like seniors. And, I mean, Miguel Mitchell, right, who's been here for a couple of years, he's going to be a senior. His backup might be a freshman, either Christian Ford. I know they're big on Overton, by the way. I have heard Overton. Is it Taj Overton? Pretty big kid, too, like 6'3", 195 pounds. I think they're going to be pretty big on him. We'll see. I want to see him in spring camp if he's there. But Larry Worth, a senior. Scandrett, a super senior. Caney Walker, super senior. You know, Selman Bridges didn't get a lot of snaps. He's going to be a sophomore. Okay, but then you got Jordan Young, who's going to play that other corner spot, most likely, either him or maybe Jaheim Singletary, who's going to be a redshirt junior. That's a fifth-year senior. Right? You look at the linebacker spot. Hell, Xavion Sori and Steven Dix are both super seniors. You know, Justice Boone is a super senior. The guy behind him has a lot of snaps. Ken Talley, fourth-year player, redshirt junior. David Oak, senior. They went and they grabbed guys that have snaps or have time playing at this level. The last couple of years, they've had to kind of rely on some of these guys that didn't play because they were hurt or they were freshmen. They got redshirted, you know, or maybe they've got a couple of years but not a lot of snaps. That's not what they're doing this year. They went and they grabbed older guys to play in the secondary. That's what you got to do now, right? Listen, there are, even though I'm not big on the secondary, I like that they're moving in that direction. And listen, it's not like they only got freshmen last year, right? Or redshirt freshmen last year. They did bring in some older guys, but this year, if I can remember comparing the depth chart from a year ago, seems like they've got more snaps. I'm pretty sure they do have more snaps and more, you know, seniors, redshirt juniors, super seniors, whatever. That's what they racked up in the secondary. That's the angle they're going with, guys with time under their belt. So, yeah. All right, let's make one more point. Why you would make the case and why maybe you should make the case of being excited not just about spring camp, but, and this is weird to say, I know, maybe there is hope for this team next year despite the difficulty of the schedule. What is it? It's Bobby Petrino 110%, as I alluded to earlier. It's Bobby Petrino. And I was looking at what he did his first go-around at Arkansas. Ryan Mallett, in 2009, first-year starter. Now, different scenario, right? You're throwing to a different batch of receivers. You got different guys up front. The game is different. I'll give you that. But we still saw something here that was impressive. 55% completion ratio. 55.8, actually. 3,600 yards, 30 touchdowns, 7 picks. That was 2009. His next season is one of the best seasons in Arkansas history in terms of total offense and in scoring offense. 2010, he goes from 55% pass completion. Now, I'm not saying Taylon Green is Ryan Mallett in terms of arm talent, but what I am saying is we saw a guy like Mallett jump from 55% completion ratio to almost 65%. This cat almost jumped 10% off just like 7 more throws. Averaged 9.4 yards per completion, nearly 3,900 yards passing compared to 3,600 the year before. He goes from a rating of 152.5 to 163.7. 32 touchdowns, 12 picks. Now, he threw more picks, and if you remember right, Ryan Mallett was really trying to thread the needle that year. What a fun year of football that was. That team was special, and I'm not saying that he's got that this year, that Taylon Green's going to do this. But we saw this here where he improved, and Mallett goes to almost 65%. All right, well, let's go to another school where Bobby Petrino was in charge of. Let's go to Louisville, his second time around. Lamar Jackson throws for 3,500 yards off 409 attempts in 2016. 56% completion ratio. Now, Lamar, newsflash, never threw above 60% at Louisville. Never threw above 60%. His best year was 59.1. But, of course, we know what he could do with his legs. You know, I mean, just an entirely different player. And, again, I'm not saying Green is this. I'm just showing you Petrino tends to have a trend of guys doing better in their second year. 3,500 yards throwing for him in 2016. 2017, he throws for 3,600 yards, 27 touchdowns, 10 picks. His completion ratio goes up 3%. and his rating does take a little bit of a dip, but you see pretty good improvement. I think his total yards actually went up as well. You go back to Brian Brom, Petrino's first head coaching gig in the college level. Brian Brom's numbers got better every year under Petrino, 2,800 yards to 3,000 yards. Now, I don't remember if Petrino coached him in 2007, right? Because he was in Atlanta in 2007. Or no. He was at that's right. He was at Atlanta that year. So I don't know if he gets credit for the 4,000 yards. Correct me if I'm wrong there. But we saw Brian Brom get better in terms of yardage and production. Taylon Green, 3,100 yards through the air, 602 yards on the ground. 3,700 yards of offense his first year in this offense. 3,700 total yards of offense his first year in the Petrino offense. 15 touchdowns, 9 picks. I'm not in love with that. That's not a good touchdown to interception ratio. It's not atrocious, but it's not good. That needs to be like 25-9, right? Or 23-9, something like that. Let's not forget, drop balls certainly hurt them in the end zone. Drop balls hurt them in between the 20. But he threw for 60%. This was his second highest in his career. In his last year at Boise State, he was at 57%. This year, with more throws, which should bring that number down, he finished 3% above what he did the previous year at Boise State. So, and by the way, the most touchdowns he's had in a single season. So there's room here to be excited about what year 2 could represent for Bobby Petrino and Taylon Green. You bring in some guys that are familiar with Petrino. We're finding out that apparently that some of these offensive linemen already knew Taylon Green before they got on campus. So I think that was Corey Robinson and Caden Kittler who said that they knew him before they wound up at Arkansas. But they're going to have that. Hopefully they have that same camaraderie that they had a year ago that Taylon Green had with his offensive line last year. That can only benefit everybody, right? Everyone's going to be on the same page, and that certainly helps build chemistry. So I think the overall product really could be really good this year. Unfortunately, that doesn't equate to more wins necessarily because of, my God, you've got Notre Dame on your schedule. You're going to Austin. You got to play some tough games, away from Fayetteville. Not to mention your one gimme game in non-conference play is Arkansas State. Or I shouldn't say your one gimme. Your one of your non-conference games outside of Notre Dame. You don't expect to play 2 really good teams. I think Arkansas State's going to be tough. They got their quarterback back. They got some pieces of that offense back. Arkansas State's sitting in a pretty good position to go into War Memorial in Little Rock and make that a ball game. I don't know that there's no for sure gimmies with this schedule. We know that. You could have a better product. Hell, you could be a lot better on defense and just a little bit better on offense, maybe score a few more touchdowns, fewer turnovers, better out the gate. Well, less throws behind and over and too far away from your receivers, missing guys out on wheel routes. You could take that away or lessen those moments, take those moments down a little bit, turn down your turnovers, throw more touchdowns, end up with more scores, and still not have as many wins as you had a year ago at 6 because of the difficulty of this schedule and because of these teams you got to play on the road. So all this could be better, and it may not matter. And that is a valid point to not be that excited about the year. But I would also say this. You saw who Notre Dame lost to early in the year, and Notre Dame got to play for it all this year. Who would have thought that some of these teams would wind up in the damn playoffs? Who would have thought some of these teams would end up being as bad as they were? You don't really know what's going on for sure. You look at some of these schools, they're losing a lot of guys. There's some teams where their coaches are on the hot seat. It's going to be a different season. So I wouldn't just automatically say right now they're not going to win 4 games next year, Ty. I don't know that we know that. There were a lot of people, including some of you in this very chat, who were telling me last year, Ty, they're not going to win 4 games. And they won 6, and they won their 7th. They won their game in their bowl game. So, and that's with the mass exodus of players in that game. And I know Texas Tech had their own amount of players set out as well, or not play. But Arkansas was hit hard here. So I would say let's take this like we do everything, a week at a time. Let's get through spring camp and let's see where they're at. For one, I am excited for spring camp. I do think there are opportunities here. This team could actually be a lot better, and maybe that'll pay off. And the fact that you've got Bobby Petrino back with a quarterback, I'm just going to tell you, is a proven quarterback in this league, to have that back, and maybe you've upgraded in certain areas on the offense, that'll be enough. Maybe they've got a hell of a product on the field in the fall of 2025. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But again, I'm excited. I'm glad to see 66% of you are excited. 66% of you are excited. If anything else, I think the idea that you've got Madden Iamaliava and Grayson Wilson and KJ Jackson battling it out, that's also going to be pretty fun. So, yeah. All right, we're up against it here, hour and 20 minutes. I appreciate those of you who made it. Again, I know apathy sets in. And I know notifications don't go out. And, I appreciate those of you that are here. Thank you for liking and sharing, subscribing. If you haven't already, make sure you go do that. Shout out to Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. Same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes, better than best results. Give them a call today at 501-244-3667. Having to close some things out here. Hold on. Trying to pull up. If you guys are doing a little bit of gambling, I'm going to take a look at this, see if this Kansas City game has moved at all. If I could flip my screen. We've had problems with this. I don't know what's going on. Oh, there it goes. Okay, now it wants to do it. Here it is. Kansas City. This is BroThrow. Get in, get some bets. The Chiefs and the Eagles, Super Bowl. There are a lot. Quite a few accepted bets already. Get in on BroThrow. Promo code Tusk. Spread right now in favor of the Chiefs, only at -1.5. Total points at 49. I think it ought to be higher. I don't know. What do y'all think? I think it should be higher. There you go. It's coming up soon, baby. Lay down a bet. Maybe we'll do it. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe someone will come along. I'll encourage one of you guys to – maybe I'll take the Philadelphia Eagles. Maybe I'll take the Eagles here. Maybe I'll do it for like $20. Who wants to go in on it? Let's go, baby. Come on. Bring it. Let's do it. Chiefs gifted to the Super Bowl. Yeah, maybe. You might be right. Let's put an end to this poll. BroThrow, by the way, is a sponsor of Tusk Talk. Why not support these guys? They're local. They're based out of Northwest Arkansas. Ty sending more signals that Sam is the CEO head coach. He is the face for the pressers because BP wants no part of that. Wait, what? John Haas says, I like the new DB coach. Yeah, well, we know they were atrocious last year in the secondary. There's no doubt that the secondary was really bad. So he's out. Nick Perry's in. We'll see what he brings to the table. I'll be excited to see it all unfold for sure. He will be in the front office of a program for sure. Bro, this thing is lagging like crazy. I can't do anything. Gary Davis says Robinson and Carmona together in the O-line is reason for O-line optimism. I agree 110%. All right, everybody. Thank you for being here. We'll be here for the postgame for, oh my God, for Arkansas and Kentucky. That's going to be a late one, but I'm going to suck it up. Well, I'll be here. We will post the prediction the night before the game because that's when BroThrow puts up their odds. So we'll have that up tomorrow night. So just be on the lookout for that, okay? All right. I'll see you guys Saturday. Enjoy the rest of your week. Have a good Friday. And I will, like I said, I'll see you on Saturday.